No, man, this program is intended for a mature audience. If you're not 18 or older, stop listening and find more age-appropriate content. We're the
I gotta get the
batteries.
background noise off.
This show will cover serious topics in a satirical manner.
Yeah.
If you're offended by any content here, that is your own problem. You've been warned. Don't try this at home. Anywhere else for that matter. Ah.
Yeah, don't worry, Davey. They can't hear you. They might.
Fuck her right in the pussy.
Oh, hell no!
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, dearly beloved and sanctimoniously enslaved CEOs, welcome to that late night culinary excursion that is Midnight Sushi. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our fantastic friends at Resurrection Vapor at resurrectionvapor.com. Lines upon lines of the most fantastic juices you will ever find, up to and including now a kind of a new CBD line, yeehaw, and our fan favorite, Hammer Down. Also sold at one of our favorite stores, our next sponsor, in Pewaukee, Wisconsin, Vapewalkie, also at vapewalkie.com, Wisconsin's finest vape lounge. And seriously, folks, oh my God, lines upon lines of fantastic fucking juices. Everything from regular nicotine to salt nic to, well, alternatives just to help you get through the day. Oh, and oh my Lord, that hardware section, everything from high end and low end and everything in between, just to make you scream when something's flying at your head when you have to explain the bill. Oh, except when you go to that clearance section, whew. Great way to save some money on that one. Of course, that's our fantastic friends in Pewaukee, vapewalkie.com. Oh, fuck. Joining me today is the fantastic Dr. Dreammaker herself, the CEO-centric connoisseur, Dr. Davia.
How to do.
Oh, it's doing fantastically. And, of course, I'm actually by myself in the studio today, so it's a thing. Well, I guess I should introduce myself.
Yeah,
Sure.
I would. Yeah.
All right, fine. Well, folks, you may or may not have heard if you've listened to my other episodes, and if you haven't, get on that shit. This is everybody's favorite geek daddy, the patron saint of bacon, bad ideas, and BDSM, Michael.
Dun, 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 dun.
That was very close to the Jurassic Park theme.
Right? Right?
Yeah, oh my fucking God, it's a dinosaur. Holy shit, what the fuck? Yeah, we've done that a few times.
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
It's not all the time. A former member of our illustrious family was essentially a table flipping T-Rex, so yeah.
Whoa. Snarf.
Italians. What are you going to do?
True.
So, Davia, talked to you earlier today on your prescription for CEO-centric living.
Yes.
What'd you think of that show, dear?
Dude, it's fantastic. It was fire. It was liquid fire today. Liquid fire. Liquid fire.
I know, wasn't it?
Right? It's just like, I don't know, like it's a movement, and it's just hearing those light bulbs explode with the aha moments. Dude, doesn't get much better than that. Hand over fist every single day.
Right? I mean, seriously, it was probably one of the more epic CEO-centric shows that we've had, but to be wholly honest, they're all awesome, and they just seem to keep getting better.
Right? The evolution of awesomeness has arrived.
The evolution of eccentricity, the development of Shit, what's
Dude,
that?
it's all about rising together.
Mhm.
That's the truth, man. Like, it's like,
Development of disruptors. There we go.
there we go.
Couldn't-
Disruptors unite.
Couldn't think of the D for a second. And yes, it's Midnight Sushi, and I couldn't think of the D. It happens, okay?
It does happen. I totally get that.
Yeah, especially
Totally
since
get
right now I'm kind of flying on endorphins. Holy fuck.
Right. So I heard the show a little bit earlier too. Hearing you guys, tasting out some tasty vapes. How was that?
Oh, it was epic. I mean, to be wholly honest, Ken Andrews has never disappointed when he has us beta test quite a few of his illustrious juices. To be wholly honest, Jesus Christ, we owe our hats to that gentleman. We owe probably our third and fourth born children to that gentleman.
Right.
Especially if a purge mod kind of comes our way. Hint, hint.
Dude, I've got lots of purge mods right here in my
Or
hand.
broadside.
Yeah. Right?
He
I
has
gotta get
one.
No, the network has one.
AKA Hammer has one.
Hammer has one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to, get in on a beta like that. It's been a long time.
Well, I'm pretty sure if Miss Davia wanted to get in on a beta, we might be able to hook her up with a little something. Can't we, Ken?
Shizzle.
You know who Dr. Davia is, right, Ken? Vape model? LifeVantage, CEO-centric guru. Yeah. She's also kind of interested in getting into our illustrious beta testing.
Okay.
I love beta. I used to do back in the day, the black label testing. So you'd get sent the sample, you weren't told, and you had to figure it out yourself.
Right. I used to do that when I worked part-time at another shop in Milwaukee. Hammer, can we say that one's name? I mean, all right. Yeah, because I know, because he's family, he's friend. Yeah. Oh, I know you do. But yeah, Wisco Vapes. I worked there part-time over the summer and some of last winter. Unfortunately, job situation changed and I can no longer do that. But I mean, for Christ's sakes, I used to sit at the shop. Me and John would kind of taste test something that came in through FedEx and
Hey, taste mine. Goes, we'll go with this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, man, I would have been better off washing my mouth out with bleach.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, Ken's like, oh yeah, I have over 2,000 bottles on my line, and I've tried every one of them.
Hope so.
Which means that there's a greater multitude chance that you've probably tried at least north of 3,500, and 1,500 didn't make the cut.
Well, yeah, there's definitely some that didn't make the cut.
Yeah. Well, I've had a few, especially ones with that strong medicine back end flavor.
I've had some that taste like cat piss. I've had some that taste like cat piss, so yeah, I tossed them right in the garbage.
Dude, the worst one I ever taste, and that's going to be legit, is something that was very much reminiscent of Pine Sol.
Oh, I've had a Pine Sol vape. It's just
Pine Sol vape? Yeah, I've had those too. So
yeah, something. It's like some sort of bastard child between pineapple, menthol, and that just back end medicine flavor from a really shitty PG.
Yep.
Oof.
And these were supposed to be Fiji's though, and they tasted like that.
Oh. Oh.
So yeah, they went right in the trash. So
It's like, nope, bye.
yeah.
But we'll cut you a good deal, and I'll cut you a great deal too. No.
If I don't like it, it don't go on my site.
No shit.
Right? That's a negatory on that one, Ghost Rider.
Yeah, especially since I just bought this bottle of Humble off of him.
Yep.
Holy hell, that's mine.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even get a chance to tell you guys what happened on the Woo Woo call.
Well, get on with it.
Unfreaking believable.
You can swear better than that.
Yeah.
It's unfucking. Dude, it was unfucking believable sitting there with Sue and Tom and can't think of his name right now, watching them talk with me as we're talking about the CEO centric, the benefits for the clients, sort of like mind mapping out the program almost right down to the mechanism. And, they're like, the price point isn't right. Like, we need to bump it up to $100,000. And I was like, okay, she's like, can you do it? I was like, yeah. Yes, I mean, hello. What we're doing is easily an extension of a very expensive mastermind, but just an ongoing basis.
Yes, the master plan.
So I will have to send you guys the mind map, and then you can look at it and click through and see.
Yeah, I actually like mind mapping. I do that when I come across different toy designs that I like to build, or just different ideas, like even cooking ideas. I'll just start with like an overall idea, then just kind of branch off from there. It's really fantastic because my mentor taught me how to do that shit on scrolls that I make for myself. Because then you just spread out that whole idea and you're not limited to like an 8x11 piece of paper.
Right. Well, and here's the benefit of that too. It's, this team that, they've been doing this for years and years and years, and just their whole focus is like, it's basically like bad habits rule number 1, right?
Say what you don't know, what you say.
Yeah.
Right. And can they see you following it through? And so they give you scores and everything. And some things she actually scored me higher than I scored myself. And it's like, let's do this. So, it's kind of like, I'm going to give you guys the access to look at the mind map, get your opinion on it, and see what you think. Because they give you the mind map, and you can either implement it on your own, or they come in behind you and they do the heavy lifting. And the invitation was given to me to go to Bali for their $1 million mastermind summit, and that's an invitation only. It's $25,000 a ticket, and I don't have to pay.
That's cool.
Dear God.
Right?
But that long distance call, if it just happens to be on a Thursday.
Right? I'll call in, man. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, Skype's free. Good point.
Skype's
I forgot.
free. You can do Messenger. I mean.
Right? But the thing is, not moving forward unless this is something that makes logical sense all the way around.
Well, yeah, that is kind of the point. I mean,
right?
Yeah, you want to go as forward as you can with it, but at the same time, you don't want to necessarily either overextend yourself or, maybe just go down the wrong path.
Right. Well, and, the thing about it was, okay, they wanted me to uber niche down, and I'm like, look, because she's like, okay, you work with established business owners. I'm like, hand over fist. And she's like, well, what kind? And I'm like, I've worked with CEOs in every industry on earth. Like, there isn't any, like, I can't narrow that down any farther. And she's like, well, if you get really specific, it doesn't mean you can't serve everybody else, but it acts like a net. And I'm like, well, that's what the podcast does. It's netting the people that want to hear it already, that's a part where I'm like, well, we're really trying to reinvent the wheel here, and the wheel is already invented. But I'm honored. Like, I'm honored because, they really give you your mind map, and they don't have to. And they say, if you can do this on your own, do it. If not, or if we can make this a better process for you, and then also partner you, like we talk about with joint venturing, on a massive scale, please allow us that opportunity. And I said, give me 24 hours and, the wait part of it, and then I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm. Follow the help method, follow the wait method.
Yep, all of it. And also starting with your own team and talking with them and getting their input, because that's crucial for me. If this is something that we can do on our own, because it's extremely mind mapped all the way out, and it makes more sense, then we'll go in that direction. But I was just extremely appreciative of that. And then the next phone call that came was, there was an organization called the Global Goodwill Ambassador Initiative, and I spoke to the CEO of that 2 days ago, Richard DePilla.
Mm-hmm.
And they're offering me a global goodwill ambassadorship for the United States.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yes. And in that, their whole mission is great minds think alike, irregardless of borders. And in doing so, things that need to be brought to attention, things that need to be solved, or like things that aren't maybe getting attention by like traditional NGOs, whatever, it can be accomplished by great minds working together. And I'm like, I'd love to take it. So Saturday, I will have my official award and my name and my photo on LinkedIn.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm on LinkedIn. So
Yes, the Ken Andrews, the wholesaler to the stars, is also on LinkedIn.
Nice. Connect. I'm easy to find.
all right.
He'll get on it.
Yeah.
Or you'll get on it. Either way, someone's getting on with it.
Yeah, I've got over
Hey,
1,500 followers on LinkedIn right now. So
I'm I don't know. Mine are, I don't know. Let me look. I don't even know anymore. I think I'm at, because I've been on it for a long time. I really ignored it as a platform until I had somebody that I know that's I have 1,720 connections, I guess.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting just because the older contacts, I've just been diving deep and connecting with them, picking up that conversation and hearing how their businesses have scaled have been absolutely just amazing for me. And some of them are like, we want to give CEO-centric an affiliate opportunity, which is in reality, that's a token of gratitude. So referring a client or a business to them, they will in exchange give us a token of gratitude for referring the service.
Cool.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool. Yes. And, the universe is just plugging right along, guys. I love it. Like, and I'm so appreciative that I can still be my tattooed goofy self. And, the message is bigger than me. And so there's not that pressure to have to be perfect. Like, I can look like my hot wreck self right now and still, be present on the meetings and like, excuse my mess, bless my mess, but what you see is what you get. This is me with, this is a podcast look, and, I'm gonna be honest, not really gonna get out of my way to throw on a full face of makeup and dress pretty just so you can see that. If you like me when I'm in my mom mode, when I'm in my, putting up the Christmas tree and like taking care of life mode, then you get it.
Yeah,
then you get it.
If you can't handle mom mode, Davia, you don't deserve the dream catcher or the dream worker.
Well,
right.
Like I told him, my wife says I got to trim my beard up. I said, no, if they don't like it, they can bite it. I don't care.
And our prospect hanging around in the chat room, Mr. Kapke, who needs to get his ass here for another show because it's been a while. Hint, prospect.
Hint.
Yeah, he says, yeah, you're, I guess he's followed you on social media. He's like, yeah, emphasis on hot, clenched butt cheeks and all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That really makes me feel good.
Yeah, if you want to see my social medias, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. That's where I'm on all those. So.
Okay, I'd rather honestly go through LinkedIn. Facebook isn't a platform that I'm really using because I really want to be where I'm I'm utilizing my skill set, and the connections are important, and that's really on LinkedIn alignable where other business owners collaborate.
I agree with you, but I got to throw posts up for my business. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely. For sure. I completely agree with you on that. With me, the Facebook, I really think that like my social media profile wise, there needs to be an additional profile specifically for CEO centric.
Is that something you want me to get on with?
Sure, we can do that. I would that absolutely.
Because be honest with you, the Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, I've got over 7,000 followers right now. So
yeah, I'm blessed with my followers from whether it was the Simply Davia stuff or the Vape Doll or any of that. Still really, really great fan base. But this is like, making sure that the message and what I'm doing is kept separate from my personal life, because that has been the mistake in the past, is just allowing everything to spill over. And so it's for someone looking at it in a business perspective, they're very confused.
yeah, I totally agree with that. Because like I said, I've got 2 Facebook accounts. One's my personal, the other one's my business. Then I've got the Instagram, which is business, and I've got LinkedIn, which is business. So
Right. So I've got to find. Okay, how do I find you on LinkedIn?
look under Kenneth Andrews.
You want to do it a little closer to the mic?
Under Kenneth Andrews.
Thank you.
Whoops.
As she is now stalking you live on air.
Ha
I hear the howling in the distance of the
Okay, so-
disastrously dangerous Davia.
Paragonus Vapors.
Okay. I missed the last part. What vapors?
Vapors. Paragonus. PEREGRINUS.
Vapors. There you are.
Yep.
We have 4 shared connections actually.
Well, 4 out of 1,700 ain't bad.
No,
Right?
it's not bad at all. So
I'm excited. So what are we jam-tasticing on the Midnight Sushi?
Well, today, as the title says, dry rub. Because...
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. My show and the title's named Dry Rub. That can go in so many different directions.
Yeah.
To which
So many
definitely can.
different.
to which the answer is yes. In case anyone's wondering, I do have a date in a couple weeks. She's a current client of mine that we're just both kind of interested in, and we're not throwing any labels on anything. We just want to appreciate
Right.
each other. Because that's... Yeah. And then, I'm working on a barbecue special for next week. Because I just got a text that we got some brisket in from our meat seller who runs a farm/butcher shop about 15 minutes from my shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me happy as hell. And they're giving me the brisket because, they're not fucking touching that at all.
Right.
Mine.
Mine.
And also today, I had my first massage ever in my life. Ever.
That's awesome. How did it go?
For the first time in 14 years, my knee doesn't hurt.
Great. I'm on the phone.
CBD is all you need.
To give you a basic rundown of the shitstorm that is my right knee, I've dislocated and subluxated it. I've lost count to the point it just does it on its own. ACL and MCL have both been torn and repaired repeatedly. Both the inner and outer sets of menisci have been blown and repaired so many times they no longer repair them because it's all scar tissue. They can't put it back together. The cartilage is gone. Most of the soft tissue is gone. Basically, the only thing holding it together is hopes and dreams. On a good day, it feels like I'm walking on ground glass. On a bad day, living is optional. To give you an idea, on a bad day, if I stand up, there's a pretty good chance I'm not standing. Unless I'm
Wow.
holding on to something. And for the first time in 14 years, it doesn't hurt.
That's fantastic.
That's
free. That's freedom.
Yeah, that is.
That's freedom, man.
99 birthday party.
So we're gonna say.
Talk to you later. I gotta go.
Yeah, we're gonna say bye-bye to Ken Andrews as he's about to take off for a minute.
All
Thank
right.
you very much for joining us and for jumping in.
Yes. Thank you for jumping in, man. Look forward to connecting with you.
$99 for a birthday party, Mom.
Okay, I'm out.
Once
My
again,
kid comes up to me. He's like, "Mom, I need $99 for a birthday party." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
it's like you need, huh? How's it feel to need?
Right. Need, huh? That's an interesting prospect.
Considering by his age, I already had a part-time job working for my father, so yeah. It's like, oh, you want a birthday party? You're paying for it. I'm like, huh? Yeah, we got 3 weddings due this weekend. Oh, shit. My father owned a DJ business before I was born, and we actually retired it when I went off to college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He retired it so he could quit that stress and so he could teach full-time at the blind school here in Janesville. And nice. And then, of course, I went off to... Nice. And then, of course, I went off to college and then to culinary school and then to cooking full-time. So it's like, yeah, I don't have weekends off ever. So... unless I have a mental breakdown. So it's like, yeah, this is, I'll be happy to have the world's largest stereo in the living room.
That's fantastic. I'm addicted to my vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
Just love it. Just love it. I don't know. It's awesome. So you've got some relief on your knee. Was it uncomfortable for you having that? That
My knee or the massage?
The massage.
I've always been open to new experiences and new ideas. I generally do as much as I can to not say no to things, just especially if they seem like a bad idea.
Right.
Just because bad ideas usually lead to awesome stories.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of my dearly, dearly awesome friends had gifted this massage to me because she wouldn't take no for an answer. To the point where I tried to turn her down politely, and then I found the Groupon coupon in my email, and I'm like, oh, well, shit. She's like, oh yeah, I already did the research. This is probably one of the best ones in your town, considering she lives an hour and a half from here. And I'm like, oh, so you stalked me?
Love it.
Well, fair enough. I stalked you twice, so there we go. So her and her polycule all chipped in and got me the massage, and yeah, holy shit.
Right.
Was it uncomfortable? No. I mean, yeah, parts of it were painful, but I mean, pain. We'll move on with the universe. Was it fun? Yeah. Did I fall asleep? No.
Oh, okay.
I have a hard time relaxing in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an even harder time relaxing when someone is touching me.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, but
yeah,
I did relax little by little.
Good.
It was epic to the point
That's
where I'm
fantastic.
probably going back for another one next month-ish.
Yes.
And no, there was no happy ending prospect. This is a professional licensed massage therapist, Jill Adams at Adams Massage Works LLC here in beautiful Janes, Vegas. Wow. She did the hot stone thing. She did the full Swedish massage. She torqued my joints in ways that I forgot they could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And
That is,
yeah, Hammer's like before the show, it's like, yeah, my shoulder hurts. It's like, here's the card.
yep, exactly. That's, you know what, that's an important part of self-care
hmm
is doing stuff for yourself, you know? I mean, really, for me, it's Botox and fillers.
You do Botox.
I do Botox. I've actually gone live with my Botox and fillers because I have had, for me, I've had a lot of trauma from domestic violence.
hmm
And so, as a side effect with like just a bad coping mechanism is a clenched up jaw.
hmm
And also I have resting bitch face. And so,
That's not a
um,
bad thing.
well, people think people misunderstand reading my face as I'm angry. And I'm like, no, it's not that. Part of that, I think it's a cultural thing because pretty much every native I know has those lines between their eyebrows, and
hmm
so it's from squinting, and we just do that, and so I get rid of those, and then I get rid of that ability to clench my jaw because it creates monstrous headaches.
hmm Yeah,
So,
that was actually kind of one of my other things was I've had a headache for about the last 5 weeks.
mhm,
To the point where today it was actually kind of somewhat difficult to concentrate on the show.
mhm,
I do a fantastic job hiding it, don't
yes, you do.
I? But most of the headache is gone. I kind of feel a little bit of it on like the barest edge,
Mhm,
but I mean, most of it is gone. You know, that just might be just because I've only slept an hour today and I haven't eaten anything yet. So,
right.
eh.
Well, and in the future, like if you find you're having more and more headaches, that might be a tangible solution. Even though you hate needles, they're really, really tiny and it doesn't hurt, I promise. Is they can do it right at the top of your hairline and then right above each of your ears, and it takes that tension out immediately. Like you feel an immediate difference.
uh,
And so less and less headache days per month.
this isn't tension headaches.
Well, I mean,
But yeah, no, I understand what you mean. It's just, yeah, they're not tension headaches. But, yeah, I can actually definitely see some of that shit.
you
Um,
know,
and
I wasn't sure what I didn't realize that it has a lot to do like with the clenching of the jaw and then just however my body's reacting. And so my friend Dr. Posey, he's like, well, I'm going to give you Botox as far as like a TMJ sort of shot.
mhm.
And then I'm going to treat it like a tension headache and see what happens. And I was like skeptical. And then it was like, oh, wow, like that's what's up, man. Like, I totally am not having that. Like they become crippling. And so I'm going for my I go every 6 months. So it's about time again. And that's my self-care for now. I mean, I'm going to some resort place in Mexico in March to get my Epi Award for authorship, and then it looks like I'm going to Bali.
Sweet.
So,
Working vacation Davia.
well, yeah, and I'm all about coming up north for if we get this tattoo sort of event going. I'm down.
Okay. I will definitely talk to the proprietor of Slammin' Inc. in
For sure.
Jefferson, and yeah, I can definitely see what we can pull off.
I'm all about that.
Right. Just have to pick a month where the weather isn't necessarily so interesting.
Right.
I mean, granted, it's Wisconsin, so if you want the weather to change, wait 5 minutes. But yeah, it's still winter here, so yeah. No.
Well, and that gives us time too.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but time.
I like
You
time.
guys had a hilarious episode earlier. I was listening to it. I thought it was awesome.
Which one?
By
The
the way.
vape show?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Peregrinus Cloud Surprise.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then I jumped in like the last half hour-ish.
Mm-mm.
And they're like, oh yeah, try all these. We've already tried them. And I'm like, all right, what do they taste like? Try them. Fuck. It's like, oh, don't worry, it's only a little minty. Something
crap.
that nukes Hasley's triple death mint. Which, not knocking anything on Hasley, his triple death mint is exactly the way it sounds. If you like mint, this is epic. The mint that we tried on air, that was like doing lines of fucking Vicks Vapor Rub.
Ooh, I mean, that might be good for having a cold.
That's honestly what I was thinking. It's like, you know, if I was getting like a sinus thing, if I took a hit of that, then vaped it out through my nose, that would probably clear everything up really fast.
Yeah.
Or I'd have a gigantic headache. Well, at the same time, you know, that's an or question, and we have a rule about or questions.
Right.
Damn you, Rule 8.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, Davia, what else do you got going on today?
Today is just kind of setting aside time to just be available, and you know, got my 2 major meetings out of the way, and I'm just sort of like really chilling and just letting my mind open to just all the awesome things that happened today. It was like domino effect.
Right? You had I would like to call it a fantastic fucking show with us this morning.
It was unbelievable. It was, you know, wow, so thankful.
And then you had your woohoo call.
Right, and it was like, she got it. It was like I didn't really have to explain myself a whole lot, didn't even have to pitch. It was like, let's do this. And I'm like, hell yeah, you know, like, this is amazing. And it's kind of like one step at a time. Each little thing is working itself out.
Isn't it funny how life does that?
Right?
You know,
It's just like, fuck yeah.
You put the steps into place, and it's weird how they all seem to fall like that.
Yeah. And just being open. It's great. And honestly, for me, it was very much an honor to have a global organization connect with me and say, look, you know, we've looked over your entire, you know, history of like service and volunteering and just giving back. We would be honored if you'd be willing to be a part of this community. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a no-brainer. You know, the world is a much better place if you get great minds to think alike and to give input on how to do things for people who are in need wherever they're at.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole point of CEO Centric. It's just getting all those CEOs to actually work together, just create a co-op of folks trying to work together to get one up on life for once.
Right, and to like, it removes the negative connotations and stigma with therapy or counseling, and it's pinpoint solutions for solving the in the moment issue. Because, you know, I thought about this a lot more too, because I was telling Hammer for a while, like, I'm thinking about maybe just, you know, renting some retail space and just going into to clinical practice, and I let that sit for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, no. That was a tempting idea, but no, that's absolutely the polar opposite of what I want to be doing. I want to be giving people immediate results, like not rehashing over the past. It's like, let's address what your need is right now.
Mm-hmm. And we actually have a viewer question for you.
Okay.
Listener question, viewer question.
Yep.
Yeah, audio show, Michael. Come on. We've got because this is Midnight Sushi. There's the culinary
Yes.
side to all this. Just like
Yes, it is.
when it comes to CEO centric, a lot of my points of view happen to come from being a chef. What's your favorite dish?
Ooh. Well, that's going to be a toss-up. I love pizza in every form. And
I have a Y chromosome. I too agree that it is its own food group.
the other thing is there's nothing better than like Indian tacos, fried bread.
Oh, fuck yes. Fried bread, some bison with a little cumin and sauce, and
and tacos, like the tomatoes and cheese and sour cream, like you just can't beat it.
So you're going American tacos?
Oh no, I'm going native tacos. So you use fried bread, right? Freshly made fried bread.
Yeah, my mom's made me Indian tacos. God only knows how many times out of this gigantic cast iron skillet that's actually currently in the back of my car because she needs someone to season it. And my kitchen has a ventilation system. But yeah, she used to make those all the damn time. And no, but what I meant American style was there's essentially two different styles of tacos. There's the traditional Mexican kind of version of tacos, which is pretty much just meat, onions, and cilantro with a kind of creamier salsa.
Yeah.
And then there's American style, which has your tomatoes, cheese, and lettuce, and other add-ons, sour cream and stuff. And the reason between the two, it's because one side is actually traditionally more Mexican-ish.
Yep.
And then the other side, it's kind of a conglomeration of different countries and add-ons because tomatoes in and of themselves came from South America, were brought to Europe, and yes, I'm going full food geek on this, eat a dick. From South America to Europe, where they were actually originally believed to be completely poisonous.
Right? Yeah, I've heard that.
Until some brave motherfucker tried it, and he's like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then Italians everywhere were thankful.
Right.
And anyways, and then they kind of came back over here, along with, the influx of immigrants and everyone else coming to the quote-unquote new world. Yeah, fuck you folks, it ain't that new. Where everything was kind of just added together, where you had the cheese, which, comes from basically everywhere, but the cheese we add to it, it's cow's milk cheese versus any cheese you would add from it from the Mexican side, or at least, the southwestern part of the United States.
Right.
Our middle American area would be either goat or, usually goat's milk cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Which would come from the Chihuahua region, which would actually be Chihuahua cheese.
Yep.
God, I know too much about food.
When I'm in SoCal, I'm always going to, there's this little joint in Oceanside, California, right outside the Marine Corps base, and that's my guilty pleasure. I couldn't eat like that anymore, but when I'm traveling, that's where I go. As far as Mesoamerican tacos, yeah, that's where I go. Favorite junk food would have to be chips. I don't know. I like chips, man.
I like making my own chips.
Yeah, I'm a fan of chips, period. They can be homemade. The weird flavors of I just like chips. I don't know, it's probably a texture thing. I gotta have my CBD coffee and then Mountain Dew.
I can't do Mountain Dew anymore.
Ugh.
Not since I've kind of been on Axio, because now,
Right.
since I've been on Axio more, I've been drinking more and more and more water in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing like more and more water-based things, not necessarily soda things. So I've been
Right.
doing like lemonades and tea and shit like that.
Like what I like to do is I have 2 Soda Stream machines, right?
Those are epic.
They are. And so I take the Soda Stream machine, make the carbonated water, and add Axio. And then I add a little bit of their version of Mountain Dew flavoring. And so it's really good. If you are a soda drinker and you want to get off all of the strange petrochemicals in soda, really consider picking up a Soda Stream, especially now during the holidays. You can get them at rock bottom prices, and it's great for making tonic water for drinks. And they also have a huge selection of flavor additives for water.
Yep. And honestly, when I cashed in on a Soda Stream when I was with my ex-wife, holy hell, did we abuse that thing? And,
Yeah.
And the most expensive upkeep with that has to be the CO2 cartridge, but
Right.
it's not that bad.
No,
especially
because you recycle.
Well, one, you recycle, which means you get money back on it.
Right.
2, where we got it, we could get it for like maybe half off. It's what you would like buy if you like went to a normal store and bought a CO2 canister, not necessarily one made for a Soda Stream, but
Right.
Just happened to fit. But with that, we kind of priced it out because her and I were always penny pinchers because they were broke.
Yeah.
It wound up in you make a 1 liter thing of soda essentially,
Right.
and that cost comes out to pennies compared to paying the $1, $2, $3 at your local fuck you mart.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And you are increasing your water consumption. I mean, hand over fist. It's remarkable.
And another listener question from Hammer.
From Hammam. Okay.
Hammer, who needs to let me steer my own show. Just a little bit. Thank you for the help, but I got this. As he's doing laundry and listening in. He kind of wants to know something a little more personal about you, Davia.
Sure. Ask away.
Got any kinks?
I don't. I have a lot of friends in the community. I have a lot of friends that are in the adult film industry as well. And, I guess I'm boring that way. And I guess I can explain it because as having a life where one spouse is deployed all the time, you tend to not your life becomes sort of on edge, like waiting for a Keiko call or some sort of disaster to go on, or things are falling apart. And so your focus becomes, sort of rolling up your sleeves and being really, during war, it's like everyone who's directly in that situation, it affects both the family and the person that's gone. And so, OIF 1, OIF 2, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Dawn, like all of these campaigns, they just kind of went back to back to back to back to back. And so it'd be a year at a time, 18 months at a time. And it was like,
is Halliburton getting a group discount or something?
Right. And, so I guess, as far as like kink and stuff goes, I'm totally supportive of people's lifestyles. Like whatever you do it safely, enjoy it, don't be ashamed by it. I just happen to be vanilla.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being vanilla. Personally, it's my favorite kind of ice cream. Seriously, a nice, smooth, elegant vanilla bean ice cream. Oh, hell yes.
Right.
Hey, it's epic. Come on. You can't
It
argue
is.
with it.
You can't. It's not. It doesn't have to be complex.
No.
And
And
I think too, the other part of that is going through 18 surgeries, 2 wartime pregnancies, and 1 where you literally the night before them taking out the baby, you have to plan your funeral. You have to deal with signing over one of your children, and if the other one survived away, dealing with the spiritual side of that, like all the components that go into that. It's a lot, man. It's a miracle I'm here. I'm not done yet. So you can try to kill me, but you ain't gonna take me out.
no shit. You're staying here for a while, Davey, and if I gotta bring you back myself.
Right.
Wouldn't be the 9th time I've pissed off a higher power.
Well, I think that he's got an amazing sense of humor. The only time I've ever been scared was surgery 17. I just had a feeling like maybe I won't be so lucky this time. And so I went through a process of writing. Well, I went out of my way and I went to Mobile to the vape convention just to connect with people that I know, give them hugs, say I love you, I appreciate you. Just in case, I didn't tell anybody that was my reason, but just to connect with, a lot of people I know under one roof. And then for 2 weeks, I wrote notes and cards, and they were set in a box, and Joe was prepared to hand them out just in case. So, like, cool.
So what you're saying, essentially, medical play has kind of been forced on you a little bit.
Oh, just a smidgeroo. Just a smidgeroo.
A little bit.
And we're not done yet. There's probably going to be 2 more to go, and we'll be good. I am trying to talk them into giving me for all that I've been through, the least you could do is throw a nice rack in.
Right? I mean,
I'm not asking for much.
I mean, come on. They've already done the frame all restoration, so, maybe just, a little nice headlights,
Right? That's all I'm asking for. Not complex. Since you're in there, it's like not an extra step. Doesn't require any extra anything. Just since you're in there, boop. Just go ahead and handle it. TCOB, man.
Just one boob.
You're
rocking the super boob?
I'll rock a super boob. I don't care. Just give me something. I'd like them to stay up where they belong.
Right? That's kind of as a gentleman of nearing middle age, I can definitely attest to things needing to stay where they should.
Right. And for me too, like with the disfiguration from what this supposed, this guy is the head plastic surgeon. His subspecialty is reconstructive surgery. You think he would have done a remarkable job, right? Not so much. And so that's why I haven't been able to do any shoots or photograph, because it really is a not well done job, especially from somebody that you would expect that's his specialty.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's what tattoos were invented for.
Well, it would be a large surface area to sort of cover.
So?
Yeah, I thought about it. I haven't decided yet. And he did not give me a belly button, so I look a little bit like an alien in that regard.
You're still hot.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I just am trying to figure out how to creatively either mask or dress around the monstrosity that he created.
As we've all figured out on bad habits, just flaunt it. There's no
Yeah.
reason to hide anything, really. I mean, it's something that I've kind of had to gotten used to because, I'm human, for one, so I have body issues. 2, I'm 31 years old, I have body issues. 3, I've been a geek my entire life, I have body issues. 4, I have this monstrous lazy eye. I have body issues. And, that's kind of shit. Bye, phone.
Oops.
Come back here, you little bastard. The downside of having your phone hot wired to the board.
Right.
You touch a wire and it falls. So anyways, that's something I've kind of had to get used to, is accepting me for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is that little voice in the back of my head that kind of kicks in whenever I see someone I may or may not have a little crush on picking someone else over me, especially when everything else about me is, as far as skill set wise, is better than that other person, but really the only feasible difference between me and them is that they look better. Now, that's kind of been something that's dug in the back of my head, but at the same time, I also have to realize, 1, they're human. They can make their own choice. I can't force that. 2, there's that emotional side of it. There's parts of it that I probably don't know about. And that's fine. I have to honestly own that shit.
Right. Oh, yeah. For me, it's the other part of that is the I was talking to Hammer about this. Joe and I were talking because I'm doing physical therapy, and it is excruciating in the fact of there is no sensation sort of in the front from like your sternum down, literally. So I'm trying to, and we're trying to get some sort of sensation back and some sort of feeling, because he may have possibly damaged a nerve. So the mobility issues with that, like bending and that kind of stuff, that's it's going to be quite a long process. So we're learning new things, like it's unique. It's been the thing that has really shown me, like, no matter how strong my will is, right? My body is going to do whatever the hell it's going to do, and I can will it all I want to, but if the signals aren't going, they're not going. So you adapt.
You adapt, you improvise, you overcome.
Right.
Yeah, and I can fully understand that because, like, from my hernia surgery, I have very little sensation on my right hip anymore, especially towards the front area. Because it wasn't a traditional hernia surgery as they are done laparoscopically now. I actually had to get gutted like a fish.
Yeah.
At 13 years, I sneezed monstrously hard. I just always have. At 13 years old, I had sneezed so hard, I had ripped through the abdominal wall.
Wow. Okay.
And
Yep.
some of the muscles were spilling down, or some of the intestines were spilling down into, my testicles. Yeah. And yeah, they did reconstructive surgery. They put a mesh in to kind of hold everything.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a thing. But with that mesh, it limits the surface sensation that I have.
Right.
And because I've had to get used to that mesh being in there, not being able to yawn as much or stretch in certain ways or anything, it's kind of killed a lot of the sensation there.
Right.
And so, yeah, I fully understand where you're coming from with that, especially when it comes to adapting, because, I mean, if I tighten my belt too much, I'm not going to notice it until it's like, why are my legs tingling?
Right. Yeah. Like, for me, it's the ability to sort of get comfortable. So, it's difficult to sit up straight in a chair. Like that's not happening. So it's getting kind of creative around it. And then
Reclining
with
office chairs for the win.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I am lucky I do have one of those Tempur-Pedic beds that kind of move. So I can be propped up. I'm way better standing. So a lot of people are like, why are you always standing? And I'm like, it's just more convenient. And as we're doing these exercises, it's about like, so having someone coming behind me and tapping, like they'll have me roll over and I cannot pull myself up. I literally can't, like my whole body shakes. And the physical therapist is like, well, just imagine this. I'm imagining it. It's not happening. So using physical touch and tapping other areas to trigger it, to give you that neurological sort of, I don't know, reminder to assist with that.
Yeah, like when my knee decides to be a little bastard and locks up and it won't bend,
Right.
I'll actually have to. You'll see me sometimes walk around and grabbing my thigh. What I'm actually doing when I do that, I'm pushing on one of the pressure points behind one of the large muscle groups in my thigh to actually trigger my knee to let go.
Right, exactly.
And then I'll take a step, and then it'll lock up again on the rebound, and then I'll do it again.
That's great. I love to hear other people, how other people are adapting too. Sorry to disappoint people that I don't have any kinks.
Hey, vanilla is its own flavor, and just a basic flavor. There is an insane amount of complexity in basic flavors.
Right.
It's just a matter of nailing them perfect, and Davia, you're perfect the way you are.
Thank you. Appreciate it. The coolest person I've ever met, though, she's in Oceanside, and she is a trans-dom. And she drives a sexy gold Cadillac, custom paint. I've been to her house. It's absolutely stunning. And her, everything she does is just like, badow. And it's her clients that, she'll tell you, my client bought me this car. My other client bought me this house. My other client took care of this. And she's like, it's a relationship. And that I give them what they need. And I was absolutely just, she thought I was going to like freak out and like bitch her out. Like this was way back in the day. I'm like, no, girl, good for you. It's about filling a need. And there are some very powerful men who that they need that, like they need to be knocked down a few notches. It makes them feel better about themselves. And if it helps them be more successful, girl, right on. Own your craft.
Yeah.
Own your craft.
And that's actually some of the toys that I had to build. Was some of my clients are very, very, very large people. And it's like some of my smaller ones, I might as well not even fucking use them for them, which is fine, goody, great, grand, and wonderful, until I break out the monster toys and all the normal people are like, oh no, God, for the love of Christ, don't use that.
Right.
Versus some of the larger people look at that, it's like, that's foreplay.
Right, exactly. Now I do have a question for you about that.
Sure.
Because I, like, with me not being able to have some of that body sensation, my brain goes to inversion therapy, which I talked to Hammer about. But being on an inversion table isn't going to be helpful for me because, that's the main area. However, I do have an aerial yoga trapeze swing, and I'm thinking that might be a tangible solution because you have to use your own, it uses your own body weight to, you can only stretch as far as your body will take you, but it also allows you to, just do some amazing things. It does have the leg straps and the arm straps.
Mm-hmm.
So you can flip upside down. You can use just the side pieces, or you can use just the hammock. I was reading that the hammock part of it is great for kids with autism. Um, my younger son does have autism, and that helps them when they're like overly excited and overstimulated. That putting them in the
Yeah, it's a cradle sensation essentially.
right. And so I was wondering kind of what your input was on that. If you think like that was
Yeah,
a good investment, okay.
yeah.
And then
Honestly, because my son is on the spectrum as well.
okay,
Yes, folks, I have a son. Technically, my stepson, because he's 20 years old, and I was not that popular in high school. So get that thought out of your heads. But he is my son, first and
right,
foremost. He's my boy. I raised him
right,
since he was 5 years old, give or
yep,
take. Anyways, but yeah, every once in a while we have to help him deal with overstimulation. He's actually kind of struggling with kind of learning to deal with overstimulation on his own
mm-hmm,
as well. Um,
right,
just because there are times where his mom isn't there for him because currently he lives with
right.
his mom.
Oh, okay,
Well, she's
um,
she's my ex-wife, so.
right,
But and he's actually working through it little by little. We kind of help him set down ground rules to help him. Like one of his largest stress reliefs, video
mm-hmm,
games.
yep, that's it, yep,
Something that
that,
he can just hardcore focus all of his
mm,
mind on. Boom.
mm-hmm,
But
yep,
with that, there are parts of it that do overstimulate him. Like if he plays online battle games, like if he plays
okay,
online Call of Duty,
right,
dealing with other people will piss him off like nobody's end, and that will drive in his anxiety, his depression, and everything else
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to the point, where he's overstimmed and
Gotta wind them back down,
yeah.
yeah. Like
And
now, and how's that working for you guys? I mean, honestly, that because as a parent, and like I said, we're in Alabama, so everything is backwards here. I mean, they had just fired last year the superintendent of schools because he said, why waste money on special education programs? Because it's not like they're learning anything anyways. And I was like, whoa,
I got a pair of jumper cables
right?
and a really, really, really interesting view on the human condition.
Hmm.
Not making threats, just maybe planning a
Right?
business trip to Alabama.
I was so glad he got fired, you
Right.
know.
And Wisconsin
Um,
has been as forward as we can, especially with dealing with special needs and interest groups and things like that. And yeah, things kind of did take a really large step back with our previous administration in Wisconsin,
hmm.
especially when it came to school budget cuts and then the school unions essentially being busted.
Right?
Because, like I said, my dad taught at the blind school, which meant a large portion of that school was folks who also had mental disabilities.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah, there was that whole mess and everything else. But Wisconsin has always kind of tried to be as forward as we can. And that's something
Right.
I've always liked about Wisconsin. I mean, and it's just helping my son to the best of my abilities is kind of something that's important when it comes to them. Like, I don't care what time of night it is. I don't care if I'm at work. If my ex texts me that my son needs something, I'm there.
Hmm. Right.
Anytime I've helped her and I are still elsewise friends. We get along to a certain extent, but there is never another hope for a relationship, unfortunately. Just
Right.
because, as far as relationships go, her and I were toxic with each other. It's just a matter of fact. We made it for 12 years somehow.
Right.
I'm not going to get into that just because that's a whole one-on-one
Right.
I don't need to get into on air. But anyways, Yeah, folks, if you want to intro into that, you can talk to me personally and then eat a dick, and thanks for coming out. Um, but anyways, if she talks to me anything at all about our son, I'm there.
Right.
If anytime I have to help them, I do it because it's helping my son.
Right. Absolutely.
And that he's still a large driving force in my mind, just because it's like when I cook to her level of OCD when it comes to like cleanliness and plating, just because her OCD is fuck. This is a woman who from 40 feet away can tell what direction you wiped your plates off in.
Yeah.
If it was clockwise, counterclockwise, side to side, or anything. And his palate is unfucking believable. He can tell the difference in just tiny little specks of amounts of salt.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always tried to cook with that amount of control in everything that I do. And if I'm going to make a flavor pop, that's what I'm going to do. You know, I'm not going to try to mask it and throw in 40 or 50 different ingredients just because that's too goddamn much. You know, I want it clean. I want it simple. If I want a flavor to pop, that's going to be it. If it's a protein that's going to be the star of the dish, it's going to be the fucking star. And he's been a large driving force behind the flavors that I cook for. And and a lot of things. You know, not necessarily restricting things to his palate just because, you know, he's a kid and picky.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's been kind of the driving force of my OCD, and he's been the driving force behind my plating and everything else that comes to cooking.
I like that. Now, my other question about that was, I've seen, because it comes with these mounting brackets from the ceiling, and that's not really I would say, a wise idea in this home. But when I was looking up the metal sort of like hanging devices that you can use, because like, you know, you would need the same height even as an aerial hoop. My God, I was like, really, $300 to $500? That's a lot. That's a lot.
Why? I
know.
could set up a suspension rig for $30-$40 easily.
Okay. Because, you know, like, yeah, that's exactly why I asked you.
It depends on the room you're setting it up in. It depends on the structure of the actual room itself. Like, if we're planning on doing something like that, because, like you said, you're thinking of putting metal brackets in your ceiling.
I don't want to. I don't see that being a smart idea.
Yeah, just because, for one, it looks ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just having bare brackets in there, nah. If we were going to do something like that, I would want to have the rope wrapped around an exposed beam.
Mm-hmm.
Or chain, but in my case, I'd actually preferably do rope. Just because a chain, because it would be a single chain, it would be wrapped around one small point on the beam. And even a standard I-beam, if you're swinging on that fucker, that steel is going to rub against wood, and that's going to wear away the wood over time. And I'm pretty sure you don't want your roof coming down on you.
Right. And for us, I thought that we had an exposed beam, and I was incorrect. And I was like, oh, really? And so my next progression was like, okay, well, if I don't have an exposed beam, I was looking at, you know, they make these metal contraptions, but it was like, wow, $400.
A suspension swing set, unless you're into the woodwork and or metalwork on your own, they can be pretty expensive, especially for the really high quality ones. And that's kind of the big point you have to look at. You have to know all of the kind of terminology that goes along with that. You're going to want to know, is it a dynamic set, you know, where it's flexible, essentially, you know, it will move with you, or is it just static? Like, it's just built there, you're meant to hang someone from it, and that's it. You know, where essentially you're creating your own I-beam in the middle of a space, which is fine. If you can do your own metalwork or woodwork, you know, just depends which way you want to go. Me personally, depending on the decor of the room, I would actually go with wood, just because,
Mm-hmm.
Especially, maybe if that is necessarily your kink, you're not comfortable admitting that on air, which I'm surprised. Something that's wood is easier to break down and have it disguised as something else. Like, essentially, you could build a wooden suspension rig and have it break down to the point it looks like a coat rack.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't care what it looks like. It's just being able to utilize my swing, because I do have the daisy chains that come with it, and it does have all the carabiners.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, where do you, or how do you, because like when you look up aerial trapeze yoga, you'll see all these contraptions, and they're,
Yeah,
low end is $400, and I'm like,
fuck that. Look up BDSM suspension rig, or suspension. Yeah, actually, just look that up.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and if I was there with you, I could teach you the ropes, or literally teach
Right.
you the ropes. Or if you came up here, I could do the same. But obviously, there would be
Right.
better, especially if you were getting the rig itself, and I would have to figure out how it's going to attach to that. Michael, shut the fuck up. You're going geek on this one. Don't
Is he
shut up.
really?
No,
Is he going? Oh,
No, I
he's
am.
going. Okay. No, it's not. Apparently they have it on extreme restraints.
yeah, I know a
Yeah,
couple.
no.
I know a couple of better companies, especially
Yeah,
local
I'm
ones
gonna.
here in Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah, because we've tried, we did try doing the door, the pull up, the metal door pull up thing, but that does not work because you don't have enough there's not enough ground clearance for you to actually utilize your aerial yoga trapeze.
There could be if you could set it higher.
Well, we don't have a higher door.
Ah, you're talking one of those guys. Okay. I was thinking like just something you'd see in like a playground.
Yeah, I thought about that too, and I tried to find one around here it's not really they're not available. So like, yeah, I did. I thought about a like a swing set, but it's yeah. So I guess we'll have to look up or figure out what a good swing stand would be, because that's essentially what the aerial yoga trapeze is. It's a swing, and you have to be able to because you can flip upside down, and you can. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same as BDSM, because I know you guys flip each other. You guys can flip people upside down and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be able to do that sort of movement with the yoga trapeze. Yeah. So as I'm looking on the internet, they're between $400 and $700 for the metal frames.
Yeah, that's not out of the ordinary.
Okay.
It's pricey,
Uh-huh.
but once again, you want to shop for quality.
Right.
And what I'm going to do is I'm actually sending you the link to one of the guys that comes to one of my weekly events.
Okay.
He has his own company that he makes furniture out of, and he goes and sells things at events and things like that.
Cool.
If he does happen to find his way down to Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
all the better. I sent you his website, which does have his contact information there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Okay.
going to mention the name of the company or him on air, just
Nope,
because I
won't. Yep.
don't have their permission yet. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, Snarky of Oz. Christ, it's been a while. And yes, it is not $248. It's $450 here in Wisconsin. Fucking Washington.
Anybody got any other questions too? I'm all about answering questions. If you guys want to know about me, ask away. I'm an open book.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Let's see. What's your favorite form of torture?
Oh, I am. Famous form of torture. Well, let's see. I did go to the German Museum of Torture and Murder
Mm-hmm.
over in Bamberg, and we got to see a real Iron Maiden. I have a book. I should find the book and send it to you. It's pretty awesome. I I think a lot of them are interesting. I think the worst kind of torture is mental torture because that's long lasting.
Mm-hmm.
Humiliation is an effective torture tool for people that, get they have a pride issue. Um, I do like the silent treatment. Um, that I have this amazing capacity to be able to look at someone and act like I've never known them.
Yeah, it's not exactly something out of the ordinary. It's like one of my larger kinks. One of the things I do actually take a very large amount of pleasure in, just because I am not just as talented as I am, but because it is just a whole shitload of fun. I specialize in interrogation.
Right.
Which is essentially the inception or reception of information or actions. Either I'm getting something from someone, or I'm giving them information, forcing them to believe something, or I'm getting them to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's fun as hell. And I actually have copies of the old CIA manuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are epic.
Right.
And yeah, we have people in the community who do work for various government agencies who have elsewise employed these tactics, and I've learned a great deal from them, so much so that I've taught classes on this. And I actually had an invite from a event in Madison to come and teach a class at one of their yearly big long weekend parties, and unfortunately, I'm a chef. Weekends off doesn't exist for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, sorry, dudes. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
That's cool.
And yeah, I mean, that's actually kind of one of the things you have to think about when you do interrogation play. You do have to have your person understand during negotiation that your goal is to mentally break them.
Mm-hmm.
And there can be and are some very long-lasting effects that go with that.
Yeah. Yep. Very much so.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of my various things. It's fun. It's like kind of one of my favorite interrogation scenes was kind of one of my first ones. A gentleman in the middle of the social area, where there was food and soda and water and, just social area.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to announce to everyone in the room, a bunch of other sadists and masochists and kinksters, that he believed so much in his higher power, that he had so much faith that no one could make him swear.
Oh, okay.
And everyone else laughed, and of course that triggered, my personal favorite game.
Right.
I win.
You win.
What we did was we had negotiated electric play with my violet wand and a body contact probe. And it was... I know, right? They're fun.
Okay, yeah.
And I didn't turn it on high at all. I had actually done electroplay with this gentleman before, so he kind of understood more or less what was going to happen. And we did the full negotiation, the rack style negotiation, where he understood the whole interrogation aspect. We established hard limits, safe words, and everything else that goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, J-Max in the room, yo, bendejo. So we had negotiated everything, and he had wanted to be restrained to the table, so okay, fine. Me and his dame had restrained him to the table. And he had to hold on to the body contact probe. And that was one of his kind of safe points, was if at any point he couldn't verbalize reading out or giving in, he could just let go, and everything would stop. And when I do electroplay, I make sure they understand this and even practice this.
Right.
You know, I don't care if it falls and hits me and shocks me. I don't care. I want them safe. I can deal with a little bit of suffering so long as they're safe.
Right. Right.
You know, and I make sure everyone that's watching the scene knows this as well. So it's like, if this goes flying, step back. So, tied him down to the table, and what I did was I had rested my hand maybe 1 or 2 millimeters above his diaphragm. So, every time he breathed in or out with the flexing of his diaphragm, he would get shocked.
Oh, okay. Yep.
You know, and it wasn't a lot of shock. I did not have it on high at all. It was maybe 25%, which feels kind of like a very annoying lightning butterfly brushing against you.
Okay.
You know, it's not much at all. And my face was right above his, maybe an inch away, nose to nose. And I stared at him completely non-blinking. And my hand was there. And over the period of about 30 seconds, you know, he tried breathing in and out, you know, faster, slower, holding his breath and everything else that was involved, except I wasn't moving. The shocking was not stopping. Every time he took a breath in or out, he was getting shocked.
Okay.
And the pressure started to build in him to the point where he realized that there was nothing he could do. There was no amount of squirming. There was no amount of moving. There was no amount of bargaining. He was going to get shocked. And he had to eventually come to the realization that with that, it was a matter of his will versus the electric bill of the place we were at, which is very well funded. And at about the 45 to 47 second marker, because my ex-wife, who was my partner in crime when it came to kink, was timing him, he screamed "fuck" as loud as he could to the entire crowd of people. Because the pressure had built up in his mind so much that he had to quit.
Okay. Yep. Wow. Yeah, for sure.
It was easy. Remarkably easy. And, you know, of course, at that point, aftercare kicked in. I turned off the body contact, or I turned off the violet wand, took the body contact probe out of his head. His dame had already started untying him because I had her assistance in this as well. And, you know, aftercare did take place. You know, I believe, you know, I hung around with them, made sure he had water, blanket, high protein, high carb food. I believe we had cheese and chocolate at that time.
Right.
You know, all that aftercare necessities. And yeah, he said, dude, I have never been that scared in my life. And he was former military as well.
Right.
So he'd been through interrogation training and all that fun shit. And it's like, I know. It's not difficult. It really isn't. And it's fun. Are you going to try to play my favorite game again? No. Okay.
Right.
And so his dame congratulated me, said, all right, I've got the aftercare from here. Have a good night. We'll talk later. And I'm like, sweet. And she's still one of my friends. She still messages me every once in a while for different scene ideas.
Oh, that's a good, that's really good. Have you thought of, like, since you're really adept at doing that, like, have you ever thought about, what is it called? Those escape rooms?
You mean setting one up?
Yeah.
It's been, honestly, no. Just because if I go into an escape room, honestly, they're boring. And just because I already know walking in, there's really no actual danger in and of itself. And in order to kind of suspend that belief,
right,
would actually take a lot for me, just because I already know walking in, the goal is to solve the puzzle.
Right.
Which isn't terribly hard. I mean, some are difficult, but not hard. So, move on with the universe.
Right. Next.
Snarky, I don't have to. My son is 20 years old from 5. I had to live through all of it.
Right, exactly.
13-year-old boys, no.
That's so cool, though. I mean, and, it's interesting just saying, like, how, one, the your skill set and BDSM and the kink community can help me with my physical therapy and utilizing tools to be able to try to get some mobility back in my life.
Well, that is the goal, right?
Right. It was very interesting in trying to figure out how to make that happen, um, and for me it was like, well, maybe I could just build one at Home Depot, and then I'm like, from Home Depot, I'm like, you know what? That's a horrible idea. I'm just gonna ask Michael because I would rather do it right and safe, versus trying to jig it together and then getting hurt.
Yeah, pretty fucking much. So,
that's asking for it.
mm-hmm. But, yeah, Davia, if you want to talk more, easily. I definitely love to help you out just because, I've been that consulting guy before, and I have no problem doing it. I actually rather enjoy it.
Awesome. That's so cool.
But unfortunately, that's pretty much all the time that we've got today, just because I have further shenanigans I need to get on with. I still need to go home, re-shower, and all that shit, just because I still have all this fucking massage oil on me.
Ooh. That's awesome. Well, I enjoyed hanging out with you guys again today here on Midnight Sushi. Looking forward to just, coming back anytime.
All right, folks. So, of course, if you like what you hear, if you don't like what you hear, well, congratulations. Thanks for the download. For the love of Christ, here, I'll even give you 3 seconds. Click the heart icon. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, of course, clicking that heart icon, helps us keep the doors running. Lets us know you care. A little. Not a lot. We don't need you to care a lot. Just a little.
Just a smidge.
Right. And, of course, you can find us all over social media, YouTube, Facebook, assuming they, haven't pulled us down again. You can find, of course, Dr. Davia, of course, all over social media, either at Simply Davia or the Vape Doll or everywhere. And if you're interested in CEO-centric living, listen into her prescription every Thursday, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm a night owl. And, just come back and listen in for more Midnight Sushi. So, folks, on behalf of everyone who is listening, on behalf of Davia and all the bad habits, chow down, folks.